Stand up. Stop it now. Turn it off.
Good evening, campers, streamers, and babysitters. And we are back with another trailer video. Not a reaction. Can't do a reaction. It's Universal Blumhouse. So, yep, sorry. They will strike it down, take it off YouTube, beat us up real bad. But it's another werewolf property. Yeah, I didn't know this was happening. I don't think anybody did. But there's a little bit of an NYC. I think it's Comic-Con going on right now. There's a lot of cool stuff going on there with figures and NECA and all kinds of stuff. I was completely blindsided, though, by trailers. I feel like I always am. I always forget that they do that here. And Blumhouse had a nice big panel. They showed a little teaser for Megan, which isn't really like showing any footage. It's just Megan talking about her new movie, which was kind of fun. But the big one that people are walking away talking about is the Wolfman. And yeah, we got a little bit more of a trailer. This is the official trailer, so we actually get to see some more footage. It's not just, kind of a mood setter as much as that teaser was. And yeah, I think, I don't know, I wanted to say this was a reaction because of all the positivity that the, Stephen C. Miller movie Werewolves got yesterday, but clearly it was set up for Comic-Con. This was in play for a while. I won't pretend. But I do think it is kind of funny that we're going one right after another here because, yeah, this trailer, I think was definitely designed to try to win some people back. Definitely trying to tote that line between not giving away their full hand, but also build up some more confidence.
Yeah, obviously, since they released their debacle of what we thought a lot of people were thinking could be the actual Wolfman itself, which we don't know yet, but there was a lot of damage control going on. We had that teaser, which, to be honest, the teaser that we did get sold us pretty good. I think for that 1 minute that what we did get built some intrigue, kind of did some damage control, so to speak. So finally getting this, I think they kind of want to build off that momentum and kind of keep that intrigue that we do have going because, as we've talked about on the channel quite a bit, Blumhouse doesn't have the best track record in 2024. So they got to win a lot of fans back. They got to win that audience back. And I guess there's nothing better to do it than an established property like Wolfman, obviously part of the Universal Monster crew. So this one, I was not expecting it. I'll say, I don't know. I think I was very, very positive about the teaser. And I'm not negative on a bigger trailer like this. It just kind of doesn't get me overly excited, doesn't get me negative on anything. It just kind of is. It's there. It's kind of what I would have expected out of the story, I think, after that teaser.
Yeah, it pretty much just confirms a lot of what we're thinking. I think the really cool thing we mentioned off air as we were discussing this was that we kind of get to see this. Looks like it's maybe taking place within a span of like 2 days. You see some shots are during the day, but mostly it looks like it's going to be taking place obviously at night. But the scenario they're kind of building up here where we don't know where that takes place, but I'd imagine that moving truck being stuck in that tree, that's got to be very early in the film, I would think. But, we still don't have a clear picture of that. But it very much looks like they're running to this house. They just get there. They're running from the Wolfman or the werewolf, whatever it is that's chasing them. And they are just kind of getting their bearings. So I'm very curious to see how this is all going to play out. But it looks like we're dealing with a very short period of time here. So based on, what we know from the story, they're going to be a very, 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 a lot of a much quicker timeline is what I'm trying to say between bite to transformation for Christopher Abbott. So that is definitely a big change because, in the original and in the remake from 2010 and just the story in general, it's between lunar cycles. So, he has a month essentially between his bite to recovery and then Wolfman.
Yeah, and I'll say one of the big positives I think about this trailer for me is I did feel some of that tension. I really hope they do capitalize on that concept and really do this within that short span of whether it's 24 hours, 48 hours, something very small, that small window of time here. Because when you look at a lot of the other Wolfman properties or werewolf properties, you always kind of have that feeling out process of Jack Nicholson realizing he's got a heightened sense of smell or something like that. And it's like, oh, getting those kind of special traits that a werewolf would have. Whereas this one, it feels like Christopher Abbott and family won't even have time to catch their breath between bite, scratch, whatever it is, and that transformation and what exactly is going on. So I do like that feel of that fast pacedness, that kind of tension that you can build of not really getting your bearings. And it looks like is this a new family moving? And was that the concept here? Because with that
Yeah.
moving truck, I'm
It's
assuming,
Blumhouse. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So that that's a blueprint right now. But I like that idea as well of especially if they're moving in at night there, and this is a new family in a new town. No one's really going to be expecting a vacant house to be filled at the time. No one knows when they're moving in, so really, no help could be coming. No hijinks. No one can be really observant of anything like that. So it really does feel secluded. I think you could really build that tension, especially if we are taking advantage of that short window of time.
yeah, and I think that's definitely in the wheelhouse of what Blumhouse did with The Invisible Man, where it's a bit more of a contained story. We really stuck to kind of one character, a couple of key locations for that film. This one seems like it's going to be even smaller, but I do like the areas they're in, obviously. I think the house being at night, with it being a new house and being unfamiliar, is a nice setting. It's very creepy looking. I in general, just from the way the film looks, it looks gorgeous. It definitely looks like it has those tones. And like you said, I do like a lot of the tension they're trying to build. I think that scene that they pretty much show at the start here of the moving truck in the tree is very exciting. It's very interesting. I think we've kind of seen it cut up, kind of seen how they get into that situation or how it ends for the most part. But I am still very, very curious to see really what we're dealing with as far as our titular Wolfman. And I know that's where a lot of people are sitting with this. Again, the Halloween Horror Nights reveal of that costume did this movie no favors. And I feel like it is just the question kind of everybody wants to know. And I'm afraid that that's going to almost hurt the movie going into it until we get some solid confirmation. And we do see a shot in this. If you freeze frame it, I'll pull it up on screen here, of what a creature that looks extremely similar to that costume from Halloween Horror Nights. Obviously, it looks a little bit better, but it is one of those things where Luke and I have just kind of gone back and forth here, and we're just trying to decide, is this mid transformation? Is this maybe the wolf that bites him? Is this like an older one? Is this again, just mid transformation as he's like attacking them? Because we're kind of freeze framing things. We're trying to see if the hands may be a little bit furrier, a little bit more claws. And then we, of course, at the opening, we have that scene where the wolf's hand kind of smashes the glass. And even that, it's like there's no real clear defining flesh tones or anything that we can pick up. So they're really hiding this thing. And I understand why, and I like it to an extent, but also I think that there's a lot of people who are going to kind of just discount it and be like, well, if this is all I'm seeing leading into it, I don't care. I don't want to see it. So it's an interesting play. It's a very interesting conundrum that I think Blumhouse has found themselves in.
Yeah, I think, releasing that that costume, that imagery for Halloween Horror Nights kind of probably shed a little more negativity on the film than I think maybe they were anticipating. But looking at it, because when you look at a werewolf film, we've talked about it when we talk about any werewolf film, it really kind of, you hang your hat on the design of what that's going to look like. For the most part, it can either say you're all in or all out on this one. So I think building that intrigue, I think the marketing was going to be, we're going to not show the werewolf. It's just going to be off-screen noises, things like that. And then this came out. So I think maybe they're trying to, spruce in a couple of images and things like that here. And if I remember correctly, I think in that teaser, they kind of played that soundbite of the little girl saying daddy while they were in the car and the hand punches through. And in this, you can kind of see that scene is way different. It takes place, in a separate scene entirely, and they kind of just put that audio over it. So I think maybe they wanted to kind of build that intrigue to say, is this Christopher Abbott? And which maybe it's not. Maybe this is the werewolf that initially attacked him. And we had brought up maybe it's morning. Maybe it's coming out of that transformation, which we don't know 100%. But I think that could be intriguing as well to say, this is the werewolf that attacks Christopher Abbott. Maybe they dispatch him before, as we're coming into the daylight. But we can't really, we're so secluded in this area that we can't go get help. Christopher Abbott's getting sicker and sicker, and they don't know exactly why because of the scratch. And then he turns that next night. And then we're dealing with, Christopher Abbott taking on his family in a sense. So I don't know. Maybe that's what it's going to be. I think that could build some intrigue. But again, the jury's still out here. We really want to see this werewolf, and I commend them from doing as much as they did here with not showing the werewolf and using those just sound bites, that audio of the werewolf, that heavy breathing, that growling, things like that. Because you mentioned it, Dylan, before we hopped on here. It sounds like a beast. It sounds like a
It does.
monstrosity out there.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely intrigued. I don't know necessarily if that design we've seen in Halloween Horror Nights is actually going to be the werewolf or the creature that we're going to get. I think that's some sort of mid-transformation. I don't know exactly what that is, but I don't think that's going to be the actual werewolf that we're going to get.
Yeah, and I want to stay on the positive side with you there. I definitely do. And I will remain there for the most part. But, it is one of those things for me where it's like it is just a very raw deal. But I think also just having the werewolves trailer drop yesterday and just seeing how exciting that is and getting that design right up in front and just them going in full confidence that this is what you're getting, this is what's going to happen. It's just two different animals entirely, which two very different movies to approaching the same creature. Let's be honest here. But again, it is just one of those things. I see the comments. I read the comments on that trailer when it dropped. I read the posts on Twitter. It's amazing. I don't know where the hell you guys were in 2010. I mean, I was like 11 years old, but I'm just like, hey, everybody is just talking about that design from 2010 and how they're just like, man, it's never going to get any better than this. And they're I don't even know why they're trying. And it's like, wow, like people are really hinging everything on the design for this movie, it seems like. So it could be the best movie ever, but I feel like if they don't deliver with this design, it's going to go down a lot for people. And I'm really worried on Blumhouse for that. We know that they like to take unnecessary risks, but again, I do trust Lee Whannell. I think that he understands the audience. He will maybe be bringing a different kind of werewolf with this kind of infection angle that he's taking. But I think that at the end of the day, even if it's, I would hate to say it, even if it's only for like a couple of minutes, we should still get a full-blown Wolfman werewolf at some point.
Oh, absolutely. I think we definitely need that full-blown creature. In Lee we trust, I suppose. I think looking at it, how he handled Invisible Man, we've talked about it, was so well done. This one, I do have some faith in there. We're dealing with Blumhouse. They're a bit of, I would say a wild card, but we're leaning way more negative than we were probably even last year at this time. So I want to remain positive here, but I'll say we did that video on Terrifier 3, doing big numbers at the box office over Joker, a lot of other big properties. How funny is it? We did the werewolves reaction yesterday that we're going to have werewolves release, Wolfman release, but in somehow, some way, Blumhouse, this big production studio, is fighting from underneath. We have more confidence in Stephen C. Miller's Werewolves because it looks phenomenal, as opposed to a bigger production, a bigger studio taking on a werewolf property. What a time we're living in, I'll tell you.
I mean, it's just goes to show you not to turn this into a whole thing. This might be a talking point we have to have soon because of this. I'd love to get a panel together and just have us all talk about the state of horror. But like independent horror, they just have their ears to the ground. They just know what people want. They pay attention. And it just seems like Blumhouse and these other studios are just straying further and further. Even as we sit here now, I had debated, because we knew it was coming, about asking if you wanted to do a reaction to the Strangers Chapter 2 trailer. But I mean, I just saw a couple of our buddies, like Evan, texted us in response of what he thought. And it's just like, it just sounds like even they can't write their own ship over there. And that's another big studio. It's like, man, that is wild. And yes, you're right. It's insane that like Werewolves drops yesterday and everybody's just like, I didn't even know this was coming out. It looks incredible. And then the Wolfman drops today and it's just, they can't fuck up this design. They need to get this right. It's like, who would have known? I mean, seriously, who really would have put their their hat on that as just like being the reaction there, because usually the underdogs, the smaller ones, you'd have a lot more doubt from people, but no, it's like it's wild to see. But again, Werewolves is a very fresh, very fun. It looks like a fun fucking movie. It looks like something that's going to be action packed and gory as hell. And this one, I know they're trying to tell a little bit more of a serious story, but it's such a mystery and there's so much doubt in the air that, yeah, it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough to overcome, but we will be there. We already have our contact in place for this. So we're going to see a press screening. We'll make it happen one way or another. And we'll definitely report back because you guys know we're passionate about our werewolves. The Wolfman, both versions that we have available to us are very big films to us. So I think that, yeah, this is it's going to be a wild way to start 2025.
Certainly, sir. It's going to be definitely interesting. Like we said, we've got a lot of confidence in werewolves. Wolfman, we want to keep the faith. We want to remain positive on this one. Had some tension. Got to check out that creature design. So, you know, it will be their opening night. We're hoping for the best. We really don't know. But Dylan, before we finish this video, I have one question I just need answered for me. Is Tamra home?
Is Tamara here?
Is she home? I don't know, bro. We might find out at the end of this trilogy. I really don't know, but they keep bringing it up. So I don't even know who the fuck Tamara is. I don't want to know who Tamara is. Who cares? But yeah, boys, that's going to be one for the books. We'll have to see. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap everything up for us here on the Wolfman. Definitely let us know down below what you guys are thinking. Does this breed more confidence? Does this give you a little bit more pause? How do you feel about werewolves? Check out our trailer reaction there. That was super awesome of them to send that trailer to us early, so we got to really do a nice dissection for you guys on that. And yeah, I mean, werewolves and vampires at the end of the year, baby. That's what we're dealing with, and I'm excited to talk about it. I just really want to start 2025 off positive. We started this year with Night Swim. The year has only gotten better ever since, but I just don't want this to be a trend where every January we start with a crappy Blumhouse movie, and especially not the Wolfman. Don't do this to me. I want a good Wolfman movie. But alrighty, that's gonna wrap it up. So until next time, guys, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.
Do the horse shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live.